And so forth from the light came hope and dreams, and opened the way to a grand new world. Hello, welcome everyone. So, today we're going to be wandering around Sky, a very old place that you would go in old in-game Final Fantasy XI, as today's backdrop to a little bit of a talkie video. So, fully merely, I am behind what I wanted to do. So, I didn't get to put in order to my next reviews yet, so I am behind what I'm doing. But a few people have displayed wanting to know some of my thoughts on Elden Ring, so I thought I could do a bit of a talky video about that real quick to have something of that. So, but I will be trying to finish up that review. Just been busy trying to get cleaning and stuff, try to get some real-world stuff taken care of, and it's just, yeah, I'm just been a mess lately, so. But Elden Ring has came out, and while I was one day behind playing, because my copy vanished into the Ethernet of the mail, thanks Best Buy, I had to do a little shenanigans to procure a copy the next day and make do with that. I have been enjoying it very much. To give context, I am over 100 hours, 109 hours to be more exact, in Elden Ring right now, which is just kind of mind-boggling considering the fact that I have only gotten basically one main boss out of these demigods that have these wounds you're supposed to find. Technically, Omen, as far as I know, has to be killed, so, technically you could argue two, but I mean, if we're just talking about these demigods, I've only killed one. I've killed a lot of bosses, though. There's a lot of side dungeons and stuff, though. They're kind of more toss-away bosses. There's maybe, 3 dungeons, I think, that had a somewhat actual bit of a difficult boss at the end of the dungeon. I found a lot of other ones to be a lot more subjective. Let me change to a oof, that bloom here, man. One world gives you sunborn, another world gives you bloom, massive bloom. Oof. How about this one? This is a newer one I got. Cinco. More grown up Cinco. Of course, she was only 800 years old. But that. But how about? How's the? There we go. That's not too bad. A little sunborn never hurt anyone, right? So, oof, weavy head. So Elden Ring. I like to think I got a good grasp on a lot of Elden Ring at this point. I definitely gotta say, if you go in with a normal Souls knowledge, you do hurt yourself a little bit. Knowing how to play a Souls game is obviously beneficial, but a friend of mine asked, so are you saying knowing anything about Souls games is bad? And I'm no, of course, a lot of gameplay is useful, but one of the negatives is the leveling system. Generally, from Demon Souls to Dark Souls 3, which including Bloodborne, the basics of leveling had been, level 1, beginning, level 50, mid, and 100, 90, 100 being endgame. Excuse me. Elden Ring, that is a terrible mistake to go in with that mindset. I am learning that very horribly right now. The game clearly wants you to level up way more, unless you're one of those perfect, parry demigod type people, then, we'll have at then. But, yeah, for anyone who's normie or not capable of avoiding all damage, you will find using the normal kind of meta PvP stat systems and the soft caps and stuff, all that information, do not carry that over to Elden Ring. Horrible mistake, because you will find that Elden Ring wants you to level up your stuff way more than you ever did in any of the Souls games. A lot of people are saying that the more minimum in-game level is like 120 is what I've been hearing, which is kind of bonkers. Aaron said he had to kill one of the demigods at like level freaking 100, which I'm going to be interested in seeing this one. But I've been enjoying the game, and I just wanted to give some of my thoughts on it. So, first thing, one of the big changes is, of course, jumping and changing your interval button for prompting a lot of things. Now, X is still used in the menus, but when it comes to interacting the world with, like, NPCs and chests, they've swapped it with the triangle button because they made it the dedicated jump button. Now, understandably, O and X are usually the two common buttons that usually get used for jumping. And admittedly, if they were to do it with the O button, I feel like that would hurt people more because, you know, that's a dodge and rolling button. And I think that would be a horrible mistake because that is one of the most, you know, buttons you're going to be used to if you've played any Souls game. So that sounds like a bad idea to try and get people to learn that one. So I kind of see why they did X, and it will if you are a long-time Souls player, you will take some time getting used to it. I guarantee half people's first action when starting up a character will be jumping, because you will see messages, you will interact with message, and you will use the button you're used to using to interact messages, which is now jump. So the likelihood your first action will be jumping, and I've said that multiple times. People are like, it will be jump. It does take some learning, but you will get used to it. Generally, a lot of the other controls the same. They did change up some mechanics too. I've heard falling also has gotten a drastic change as well. But crafting is now a big thing, a new thing along with the big open world. And I don't really generally like open world games most of the time. Ones I liked were back in the PS2 era. And even at that point in time, they were being burnt through to infinity and beyond. Like, seriously, like, there's so many fucking open world games during that generation. It's so shocking how they haven't got burnt out on it. I know I did, but yet they continued existing. And that's not to say there isn't an appeal to them, but especially after the Assassin's Creed generation of open world games, so many have just, they feel so heartless and empty to me. So, like, on one hand, seeing a Japanese company tackle open world game is an interesting prospect, because Japan doesn't usually tackle open world games too often. You know, they usually do linear storyline type stuff. You don't usually see giant open worlds. Usually when Japan does do them, they're usually in their MMOs and that. So this is the first thing that's interesting. And another fact is the fact that FromSoft were known for open world games. Now, admittedly, you could argue some titles like Kingsfield and that, you know, they're kind of big worlds, but they're not in the traditional sense of an open world game. It's more of a closed dungeon maze game, if you know what I mean. So, not exactly the same translation. So, it's really, though, first attempt at doing something like that. And to me, I obviously bias, you know, I love all the Souls games, even 2. I'll say it's by the weakest link, but it has its place. It's definitely the one I always recommend newbies to play first. I think it's the more welcoming entry in that way, and I find it useful that way. But I really feel like they hit it out of the park for the most part. Of course, there's always room for improvement. Probably the thing I would criticize is I would have loved to see more lore on a lot of the crafting stuff. Like, most of the crafting stuff doesn't really... I was expecting to see, like, not necessarily, like, giant scrolls of information, but just little tidbits about maybe the environment of that area or something. And there's only a few that do that, not not really many, so it's kind of But I do enjoy exploring the world, finding stuff in that, and I also find it useful what they did with Chalice Dungeons, essentially. In Bloodborne, you know, I said Chalice Dungeons just felt kind of pointless to me. You know, the big thing was there's one weapon, one unique weapon you can find in the Chalice Dungeons. You can find various different slot versions of the main weapons in the main game, but there's only one unique weapon that's only in the Chalice Dungeons. And then, of course, you have the secret boss. Now, they're all unique bosses that are only in the Chalice Dungeons, but, I mean, the only other point in Chalice Dungeons is to get more powerful, I forgot what they called them, but the gems you put in your weapons and that. Obviously, the most powerful ones you could get in the Chalice Dungeons. Other than that, I mean, there wasn't any exciting, amazing reason to go into the Chalice Dungeons. They just kind of felt, considering how many Chalice Dungeons you could find, I mean, fuck, people found Chalice Dungeons that have unused content in them. That's just amazing in its own way, in my opinion. But they just felt kind of just there. Like, there was nothing encouraging you to really do them much. Like, it would have been nice to see more gear, weapons, armor, something of notoriety. And that's why I feel like they did better with the dungeons you can find. You can find lots of little dungeons, some more obvious, some hidden one, just little corners and that. And you can usually find something. Maybe an armor set. Maybe the boss has a talisman. Believe me, I found a lot of talismans on dungeon bosses, so I definitely recommend doing them. And talismans are basically your wings. So, yeah, if you love wings in the Souls games, you better tackle those dungeons. There's a lot of nice talismans in them. But you can find gear sets and stuff. And of course, there's farmable stuff from selling mobs that are only in the dungeons. But I do have to say a lot of dungeon bosses, for the most part, kind of cannon file, gank and spanks. Just gank and spank, especially if you do summons. If you're a jolly cooperator. I mean, there are a few instances where cooperator feels a lot more better. Like, there is a duo boss I fought recently that was of actual two previous bosses, and I was kind of expecting that kind of thing. I'm sure there's going to be a few dungeons where I rematch with a few previous. Kind of saw that happening. But overall, not exactly the most breathtaking bosses. So definitely what I will be interested in seeing in the end of Elden Ring is how many meaningful bosses were there. Because at this point, I'm not 100% sure how many bosses I've killed at this point. But must be a good fucking 30-some bosses probably with all the dungeons and shit. Like I said, there's only 2 main bosses I've only killed. The one blocking you from getting to the forced demigod of the game, that the game directs you to. Though, one of the nice things is, and this reminds me of Breath of the Wild, when Breath of the Wild came out. When Breath of the Wild came out, people, speedrunners and shit, they're like, holy shit, I can go straight to the end and beat the game now. It'll be, like, really fucking hard, but I can do that. And you can kind of, I don't know if you can go straight to the final boss. I don't even know what, like, there's only 2 other demigods I've been learning about so far. With Dawn and the Queen of the Academy, to not get into spoilers or anything. Just, you do get to learn their names and stuff, especially after you kill the recommended demigod you point at. There was an NPC who will give you a basic background of all the others, including the one you killed. So I'm assuming they do that regardless of whoever you kill first. I'm imagining you could probably, outside of the whoever was the final boss, I imagine you could in theory go to any of the demigods if you know what you're doing, because there's not really a whole lot of things stopping you from exploring a lot of the land. You can get on a horse and really fucking just go way out there. Like Dennis and Aaron said, it took me a while, but they just went way out. He went super far out. So I'm just starting to expand in the east and west, more in the west. East. Pro tip, don't go east. Terrible idea. No. Unless you're really confident, then feel free. But man, that place sucks. That's Little Blight Town, in my opinion. If there's someplace worse than that fucking place, oh lord, I don't look forward to it. And I don't even know when the end of the world is. I don't even know if there is more of it or that. I mean, the map expands outward in that, so there's tons of things to explore. And I feel like it really matches well with the soil. Soil. Yes, the soil. Look at all the sky soil. No, with Souls style storytelling. Because, you know, if you care about the lore in the game, you know, you basically encourage to look for the equipment and gear and items and read the descriptions to learn about the world and the stories of the characters and things. Because that's where you got a lot of context for the story and environment and stuff. And, you know, I feel like that translates, I want to find all the goods. I need to know about this gigantic world with all this crazy shit going on. Yes, yes, yes. And I feel like that's just something that's really encouraged with this style game. Now, in the early game, I do have to say I was a little, like I said, with crafting items and a lot of early gear items like the chainmail. The chainmail is almost always one of the first more heavier suits of armor you get access to, and it usually has no real interesting information on it at all, usually. And sadly, a lot of the starting stuff does feel like that, but it definitely starts opening up. I'm definitely starting to learn more about the shadowing, what happened, and what the demigods are after and doing in there. So I'm definitely learning more about the world now, so it's definitely not getting disappointed. It just kind of feels like it takes a long time to get there, especially if you're progressing very slowly with the story bosses. I mean, my experience, because I went into the game, like I said, with previous game strat with stats and stuff. So I did not go over 20, which is the lower end of maxing out your stats for stuff. And boy, it came very easy to realize I needed more health when many bosses, even the easy spank ones and the little dungeons, even many of them were starting to fucking kill me in one hit. And it's like, you know, this is clearly telling me I need to get more health. And that's what I've been working on. Now I have like over 700 health, and it's actually been much better, but I'm probably going to do just a little bit more. So the game is definitely encouraging you to go higher. But I got to the fourth story boss at, and I'll talk about a little bit about the fourth place, Stormveil, that the game points you in. It's really the only time the game really points you to any of the demigods that I know of so far. But Omen is, he was like super, reminded me of the Copper Demon. Like, for you veterans who actually were there when when Dark Souls was brand spanking new, you probably remember that the Kappa Demon was a fucking nightmare to everyone. Most people just didn't understand how to fucking fight him. People were just like, please, I summoned you, let us gank spank, please, and they're like, but then now, you know, he's like super easy. All you need is a shield that's 100% with decent stability, and then, you know, a few blocks, stab dog, block, stab dog, then you run up the stairs and keep plunging him until he's dead. I mean, he's down pat now. He's not really anyone's problem, aside from anyone who's playing blind solo. And I feel like the Omen's going to be the exact same problem. He's probably always getting to the phase where people are making him they're bitches now. But like, the early state, like, there was only like 10% people who had Omen fucking dead for like a week on PlayStation. Now he's up to like, I think he's up to, was it 52%? I think so. So people are definitely loading him now. In the game, interesting, like, there's an item you can find that shackles him to the ground for only a short duration time, but each player can do that once. So, like, I honestly feel like people are just going to figure out how to fight him and just, blow him up easy. But let me tell you, I got to Omen at fucking level 12. Level 12, I got to Omen. Need I say more? Yes, I died a horrible amount of times. In other people's worlds, I died a horrible amount of times. A lot of people got the fucking Omen, and were just like, how do I kill this fucker? Can we go inside the doors here? Nope. Guess they don't have the inside portion modeled. Bit of a shame. But, yeah. Now, I believe I killed Omen. I believe I was at 25. I tried again at 20. Still had a bit of trouble. At 25, I believe, I got Omen dead in a party, of course. I like to note that in the group, I enjoy jolly cooperation. So, yeah. So, solo-wise, I probably would have gone a little higher. And, it's not like when you look at how he fights, he's complicated. He has mostly slow moves that are easy to predict and shit. But he will whack you fucking good if you're not perfect with dodging everything. And then the fact that he has holy buffed stuff he summons at different portions of his combos, you likely not going to have anything that will fully 100% block physical in holy. So even if you go all shieldo on him, he's going to chip through your shield. So over time, he's going to get to you regardless. But I think the way he's designed is a really good example of waking up. Like, I feel like the whole beginning portion of the game is to bitch slap original players of any or all of the Souls games. Like, you wake up after the little tutorial area, regardless of whether you lived or died against the tutorial boss. And you go into the open world, and one of the first things you will see is a giant guy on a giant horse, all in gold in that. It's really hard to miss. Really hard to miss. And if you go near that person, you will probably fucking die. If you're really good, you can kill him. Just like any of the other bosses in Souls games, but you will likely fucking die. You will probably die horribly. Because he teaches you do not engage in blindly to everything you see. Because there is shit. The way I just cut up bosses is world bosses, dungeon bosses, and then you have the story bosses. That's how I kind of divide them. I don't know. Because, I'm avoiding spoilers and shit. And, so I don't know if the community has made a build terminology for that, but that's what I've been going with. The world bosses can be vastly different difficulty. Like, I just killed the dragon that's near the beginning area where you start in the open world, and I'm like 57. So I just killed him. I feel like that thing teaches you that you need to fight a different way too. The dragon that's really close to you, if you encounter him, has a really, the largest fire split I've ever seen in the fucking game, ever. Just, you will be severely lucky if you can outrun that and live. You have better chances to be like, oh, walk. That's your better odds of surviving his fucking fire breath, because it is just such a wide spread. You want to know how I killed him? one of the new mechanics, horse riding. You get a fucking, well, not a horse, it's more like a weird goat hybrid thing, because it could double jump and get on all kinds of shit a horse wouldn't normally get on. But yes, I realized, the fire, because people kept when I put my summon sign out, people kept summoning me for the fucking dragon. I'll explain why that happens. But I kept getting summoned, and it came to my realization, as a person, because you can't use the horse in co-op, as a person, people can't really outrun it. If you're white on the dragon, and he's about to just blow fire literally all around him, you're fucking dead. You're not outrunning it. You have to find something big enough to fucking block the fire. You will fucking die because you're not outrunning that. If you're midway out from him, you might have a chance to get the fuck out of the range there, but you are dead. If you're in the cone or area that's gonna get blasted with fire, you will be fucking dead. But the horse can outrun it. You can either outrun it by side strafing on your horse sideways, or just outrunning it backwards. The horse can, and I realized that it is possible to kill it with people. I did successfully kill it one time with a group of people when I was summoned. It was very hard. We went to the ruin area, and a lot of that helped cover, and he destroyed most of it, but that helped cover and take hits from the fire for us of that. But I'm gonna try the horse. Now, I don't really like the horse combat too much. I am getting a little better at it, and there are bosses that you will definitely more encouraged to try horseback. As I explained, there is the boss that is on a horse, and there are other bosses like him. Horseback fighting, recommended for him. Not necessary, but definitely helps with the dodging and that. And it was way better on the dragon. Actually, I almost feel like it was too fucking easy. Especially if you use a decent ash to help distract him, so you can get more wax on him, and that made it vastly better. So let's go about the summoning. So summoning was changed up a little. There's no dead and live phase like in Souls games and that. It's more like Bloodborne, where you're using a item to activate co-op. So in Bloodborne, you used a bell and you had to have insight. So what you're doing in Elden Ring, you have these things, you just use it and it allows online interactivity with players and invaders. Now, a big change they did with invaders is you have to use this item to open the door for invasions. You do not get player invasions. You can get NPC invasions, but you cannot get player invasions without using it. Now, some people have apparently gotten mad about that. I can understand. Player invaders are a unpredictability that can happen in the stage, even when you're familiar. Once you're even familiar with the game, having an invader show up can throw a winch and make it different. Some can be annoying, some can be challenging, some can be honorable, some can be cheap. The experience is all different. Now, luckily, if you are the type of person that enjoys that aspect, you can use the item and open the door and just not summon anyone if you want to stay by yourself for that. So you can still have that experience, you just have to have that item. Luckily, that item is really easy to get. I have 160 of them. You get one every time you help somebody kill the boss, just like humanity type items. And you can craft them from a very common flower that you find all over the place. I could probably make over 100 more if I wanted it, because I have so many of that fucking flower. So I likely not running out. And early on, one of the NPC merchants has them for sale, so you can even get them that way via until you start building up the crafting amount. So they're pretty plentiful. You're not going to easily run out of them, in my opinion. You will have to use a lot quickly. But, and as far as I know, if it doesn't get successfully used with someone, it goes back to your inventory. I'm not 100% sure everything that triggers that, but that seems to be the case, at least in my experience with co-op summoning. I don't know if invaders consume it. I've only had like two or three NPC invaders, but human-wise, I've only had, I believe, 2 human invaders. Now, in other people's worlds, I have encountered some other invaders, but I don't know. That's subjective in that. Now, another thing they changed is there's a new summoning thing. Now, Dark Souls 2 had a secondary summoning item that allowed you to get resummoned in areas where bosses were dead, so you could actually help assist with areas still. I'm not fully 100% sure how that all works in Elden Ring, because you can summon in the world map, in dungeon. Now, dungeons and story dungeons all considered like their own areas, and they follow very similar rules to old Souls games. Boss dead, can't summon anyone. So, that, as far as I understand, is in normal. The overworld, I'm not 100% sure if people can still be summoned with no bosses or not. I'm not 100% sure. You all blocked off from entering dungeons and such when you have summons in the overworld, and you can only explore a certain chunk of it. So that you will eventually see a giant fog wall. So you can't just literally run anywhere in the open world. But I don't know if you can keep summoning people with all the bosses dead. That, I think, is going to be tricky because people are still discovering things. Like yesterday, apparently it was trending because pineapple, it wasn't Ion Pineapple, but apparently somebody found a fake wall that you have to hit multiple times. Not just once, multiple times. And he tweeted that out. I did see that tweet, and they whack it like... It's sped up, so it's hard to know really how many times he whacked it, but he whacked it a whole bunch of times. So, there are still crazy fucking secrets people are finding. So, who's to say if any continent portion has all the bosses dead? It's hard to say. Hell, I found a dungeon that has 2 fucking bosses. One of them's hidden. Like, fuck. Like, it's hard to really know whether they're all dead or not. So, I'm not 100% sure if you could summon somebody still in an area that has no bosses left in the overworld. That is still up in the air. I have a funny feeling. I think it might be the case you can. Because I think the 2 reasons are you can explore the overworld. I mean, there's a large amount of land still. You can explore the world. And it allows PvP to still be open to people in the overworld. I think it's likely, but I'm not 100% sure. People will likely, be experimenting and figuring that out as people figure out and understand shit. Because I'm sure there's all kinds of crazy mechanics people are still confused about or not 100% sure of. And those will, of course, be interesting to see once I'm done. Once I've done my blind playthrough, I'll start, looking into things I missed and stuff and that. And I hope they do DLC, because I definitely want to replay and obviously experience anything I missed. I've always thought I've done a pretty good job usually encountering most of the storylines and stuff and getting the good ending usually, or the subjectively betterish endings usually. But I think that's going to be really hard in Elden Ring, because just how big and crazy the world is, it's probably going to be really difficult to keep track of NPCs. I mean, one Pacific NPC of mine's already moved once. Who knows how many places he'll be at. Need I say more? But the summoning sign thing... The secondary summoning sign item basically attaches itself to these little effigies that are hanging in a cross style. So, as far as I can tell, they don't send it to all of them that you have active, because you have to 1-up and activate it. As far as I understand, or I should say tested, Because I'll be in different parts of the land, and I'll only get summoned at things in those part of the land. So it does feel like it doesn't just connect to all of them. There is some kind of cutoff somewhere, which again, people will likely experiment and get a better idea of that. Because as far as I have seen, I have never been summoned to like a completely different portion of the continent from another part. So, and your sign does vanish at certain places when you traverse past something. So there is some kind of outlining of how it sends them. But it's an interesting mechanic because you can still drop your sign like a normal one, have it in that exact spot. But you can use the other one and have it appear at all the effigy things, which are usually at the beginning of dungeons and certain parts of the open world. So it's a quick way to get access to different places. And I think it was a smart move because being the game, being, a big open world, probably a little harder to find your sign in one specific spot, So I think it was an interesting way to, I want to get some wounds, help people farm gear, because you can actually get gear drops and stuff from enemies in other people's worlds now. You can get crafting items, gear, so it's very nice. So you can get wounds, help people with bosses, and farm for stuff. So it's you get a little bit of everything, and I think the reason they did that is, again, open world. And that it'd feel kind of like, imagine if you're running in the open world with somebody for like 40 minutes or something. I mean, that probably wouldn't be that easy, but I mean, essentially you could. So imagine doing that, not being able to get any crafting or anything. That's why I think they allow you to gather crafting in other people's worlds and get drops from mobs, because I feel like it incentives staying with people and helping with stuff outside the boss too. Because, people usually get summons like, I just want to get boss, get all the big thing wounds, and get the fuck out of here and do it again. I feel like there's now more encouragement, like in the early point of the game, I needed to make more poison curing stuff through crafting, but I need a moss, so I went to a cave that had a bunch of moss and kept putting my sign down, getting summoned there, pick up all the moss, help with the boss, kill the boss, get wounds, and do it again. And I built up a whole bunch of moss for poison curing and antidote stuff. So I feel like that encourages a lot more exploring, joining, and helping people more in other aspects than just killing the boss, and I think that's a good way. I haven't done invasions personally because I'm deeply afraid of fucking up any characters' storylines. The invading storylines sometimes don't harm anyone, and sometimes they do, or affect, like in Dark Souls 3, the evading Covenant would fuck you from the Dark Moon NPC. So I don't want to have that problem. So I have met a guy who seems to be the PvP person, but he seems pretty likely evil, or just at least doesn't like people. So I just not engaging with that. So I can't comment on the PvP aspect of the game at all. I have been thinking about making a PvP character, but then that takes focus off my main character right now. So maybe after I'm done with that, I might look into trying a PvP build of that. But another thing they changed is with your talismans, which, as I mentioned, or your wings essentially, and your pots. So pots are not consumable by a normal sense. You get a cracked pot, and that is the maximum number of pots you get. So if you have 3 cracked pots, you have 3 pots. You can craft them, you got them, use them, and you still have the cracked pots. So you don't need more cracked pots. I literally played like 30 hours of the game and then finally decided I would try some of the pots because I thought they were, consumable. Once I used them, they're gone, but they're not. So don't be afraid to make tons of pots and throw them at shit, because they'll, for one, they are a lot more useful. They do a lot more damage. So definitely very recommended make use of your pots. But talismans are also different. Instead of having automatic access to them, you have to get pouches to unlock more of your talismans, which is also something that's very different from the other Souls games, because you always start with all your wing slots and everything. So now you actually have to explore and look for them. I only have 2 talisman slots. I desperately want more, though. I found so many nice talismans. I currently have been using these 2. I had this one when I quit anyone, backstab or fun to that. It gives me HP. Then I found the FP version of that, so I just been dueling those 2. So every time I quit stab someone, I get FP and HP back. Now, certain situations I've changed those because, okay, this area I'm not gonna really get a lot of backstabbing or anything, so they're not gonna help me heal. So if it's a backstabby area, it actually encourages me to use more of my FP for things and that, which is very nice. And speaking of FP, your potions, your Estus Flasks. So, similar to Dark Souls 3, you can split your Estus between FP and HP. You can keep them even, keep them lump-sided on one or the other, and you get more. Now, the big thing is, being a big open world, and when you sit at the bonfire, which is called a Grace, it's... that's how you get your stuff recovered in that, right? So, you might have to be like, well, I have to go to a site Grace more often because I need to get new potions and stuff. I need to refill my Estus, right? Well, no, not necessarily. So, an interesting mechanic they put in the game is certain groups of enemies, when you eliminate that group, it'll give you one of your potions, or even 2. I've had a few instances where I got 2. Instead of just 1. And it can be either your HP or your FP one. So, if you play decently enough, you could essentially never say a Grace and keep getting your Estuses back. So, that's an interesting mechanic, and I think it definitely complements the open world aspect, especially with players, because it also works with cooperators. So, because, like I said, you could run around the open world for 40 hours, I guess you could, but by that time you probably have killed everything in the area you're in. But, you could run around for a very long time. So, and just like Dark Souls 3, you do the half thing with your stuff as a summon, so that's just... Ooh, especially in the early game when you just have 1 or 2 flasks against Omen being summoned as help. May God have mercy on your soul if you're a close range person. Oh Lord. Oh Lord, no. It's bad. Oh, it's real bad. Oh shit. But honestly, I'm liking a lot of the interesting mechanic ideas they have. I really feel like they put a lot of thought into how they wanted to build the game in the open world. And I want to comment on, everyone who's pissed about the game. Of course, you got the usual people, oh, it needs easy mode, that I can't just move on and realize the game ain't for me and play something else. Nope, gotta put me bitch and complain about it. And it's not that, just those. There's a lot of people complaining about the UI design of the open world. For me, I love it. It's not directing me where to fucking go. It's and when I do a review, I think I'm going to use Morrowind. That's a very interesting example of what I think they did better. Because Morrowind is a lot of a much older open world experience that didn't handhold you. You had quest logs and stuff, but you didn't have it was in the age before the golden crumb trail, Fable and shit started, where you would be directed exactly where to go and stuff. It was a different age, and believe me, you would be fucking lost who to talk to. And I don't have that problem in Elden Ring, so I'm going to have an interesting conversation between why I think Elden Ring is really good in the way it does its stuff versus Morrowind, which is a really good game too, that doesn't handhold you, but you get, like, without the hand-holding, you do get lost trying to fucking find who you need to talk to and shit to progress the story. And why that, at least so far in my experience, hasn't been a problem in Elden Ring, and I feel like it's not going to be a problem. Because I really have a good idea of what probably would be like based on previous Souls titles. But that'll be for a subject for, obviously, the actual review of that. But I really feel like they have it's... As a friend of mine put it, like, when I was describing how the UI thing was, he's like, so what you're saying is they kind of went back to basics. And that's kind of it, you know? They just got rid of the crumb trail, the shitloads of gobbledygook information on the side, giant mini-map, and all the fucking garbage all over. Let you just see the world. Like, FromSoft has always made it a big deal. So let me take a look. Let's use, not the greatest example here, but... So, now let's say we're out in the open world, and you see all these glowing purple things. They catch your eye, and you're just like, hey, I should go check what those are all out. Like, that's what FromSoft has made almost, like, in the Souls entries, have always been, like, a huge way of directing the character around. Lights and your eyes being caught by things that you see in the environment. And, oh boy, as much as the Souls games have went between being Metroidvania, linear, and kind of in between those, they have kept that philosophy as something throughout all their entries, and oh boy, did it pay off in Elden Ring. I feel like it's such a important aspect to Elden Ring, is just seeing, like, oh, look at that giant tower, that castle, like, on the cliff, I need to go to that, and, like, there's just so much shit you see, and just be like, I want to go there. I'm going to go there and see what the fuck's up there, what's going on, what's real. It's so good for Elden Ring. And I feel like it's a very important design, where stuff like Assassin's Creed has to have this golden crumb trail to show you where to go, because you're stupid and you can't figure it out. Like, I understand there's the aspect of being too lost in a giant world, but that's why I feel like the way FromSoft does its storytelling and shit, I feel like it really feels like it is well complemented in an open world aspect without limiting you, without confusing you where the fuck to go exactly. Because for the main bosses, you just fucking keep exploring. I mean, you'll find them. It's kind of hard to miss them, I would imagine so far. Again, I haven't played the whole game, obviously. I've only killed, but I have a general idea with two of them. I'm pretty much likely about to fight the next one next weekend. And then the other one, I at least know where he probably is, but not exactly. But it seems pretty hard to miss them. But I'm really enjoying it. I'm liking it. I feel like it challenges some aspects that people are used to in the game, and while introducing new ideas, but a lot of the same similar gameplay. I mean, there's new stuff. They've always added new stuff, but this is such a big new thing for FromSoft, in my opinion, and I'm enjoying the success they're getting myself. It's very happy to hear that it's like the best. Like, apparently it's always sold 12 million copies, which is always beaten Dark Souls 3, because apparently it took Dark Souls 3 almost its entire life to be near that, and Elden Ring's always fucking done it, so that's awesome. So Elden Ring's always the fucking hottest fucking thing of the year, and the best-selling FromSoft title fucking ever. It's like, and apparently I heard it was also the fastest-selling Japanese game ever. So that's also a nice nod. Yeah. I knew I still had faith in FromSoft. FromSoft, Dragon Quest series, Neo Dragon Quest, FromSoft, and kinda Atlas is kinda in a middle spot. Like the games, I still have some faith for the games, but some of the DLC and stuff, a little concerning. especially with the last two dancing games. Those were probably really concerning. But Atlas, I haven't lost faith in, but Atlas is having a few of its issues. But yeah, FromSoft's like one of the few companies I just get really excited about the titles and that. And it just doesn't happen very often with stuff too often for me within the bigger gaming market. There are some indie games sometimes I get a little excited about that, but when it comes to the big companies, AAA and stuff, it's just I don't have a lot of faith in a lot of them, especially with the directions of microtransactions and gobbledygook and shit companies have been doing in that lately. It's just it's consoling, but off topic. But generally, I am really enjoying Elden Ring. My biggest complaint so far is a lot of early items are kind of lacking in lore. Crafting items are lacking in lore. Would have liked to see early items are understandable. I mean, that's not necessarily something new to a lot of the other FromSoft titles. Usually, like I said, chainmail, it's just like, it's chainmail. But I am really sad that a lot of crafting items don't have more interesting lore bits on them, talking about the areas you find them in. There's a few, like I said, that say a few things, but generally they're just kind of plain. That's a little disappointing. About everything else has just been really great so far. I haven't really encountered anything to complain about, aside from one thing. Now, to know, I'm on PS4, which is awesome, actually. To me, it's really shot. Like, I was really worried that it was going to be very, how should I say, lacking. But works really good. But there is one thing. It's happened 5 times where the game just fucking freezes and has this really loud, like stack sound. So far as I understand, nobody knows what causes it or anything. So, and there was a recent patch, and it has apparently not fixed it. Maybe made it less, but hasn't fixed it. Like I said, it's only happened to me like 5 times. So that's really shitty because I don't think I've had a single Souls style game from any FromSoft style Souls games ever freeze on me that I remember. So that's a bit of a shame. It's not the end of the world. I mean, for fuck's sake, I played New Vegas recently on PS3, and oh my goodness, I don't think if anything ever tops fucking Fallout New Vegas on PS3 on the amount of shit I had to do to keep going through that game, your game development was fucking horrible then. It was absolutely horrible if you had to go that many times. Holy shit, man. Oh, what the fuck? But, yeah. Those are some of my early thoughts with Elden Ring, to not spoil a lot of the story bits. As a person that enjoys blind playthrough of the game with the community, I'm really enjoying it. So, recommend it if you love Souls, but remember, certain aspects you need to break out of your Souls habits. There's a few of your habits you need to throw away for Elden Ring. I definitely gotta say, one thing that's kind of concerning for new players, I do think Elden Ring might be the newer game I might recommend for new Souls people over Dark Souls 2, maybe. Depends on how hard later bosses are. But I feel like it's a lot more, it lets you do whatever the fuck you want, since you can go almost anywhere in the world really early in the game, you can get a lot of different gear items and then come back to wherever the fuck you want. So it gives you a lot of your own choice to what to do, which I kind of feel like is going to make PvP really shitty in life, possibly. But we'll have to see what happens there. But those are my thoughts. Hopefully I will get beat sometime. But like I said, I'm over 100 hours. I've been doing lots of extra streaming because this week and next week, on my last 2 normal weekends. I will be working every Friday until the end of July after that, unless I call in or something, which sucks. So, but I will be focusing a lot on Elden Ring continuing forward. And review-wise, I don't know, like, content-wise, content's just going to be slow because obviously I'm going to have less time. I'm going to feel more tired because of the work and shit. And I think it's just going to lead to me trying to focus on Elden Ring, and I'll probably just work on side stuff in the background. But content will be slowed down either way of that, so we'll have to see what happens in that regard. But those are my thoughts on Elden Ring. Let me know what you think, please. No spoilers and stuff. Keep it pretty clean. I'd say basically Stormveil is okay to talk about. I'd say after Stormveil, let's keep that to ourselves until, it's been a much longer period of time to be nice and kind to people. But I'm really enjoying it. Tell me what aspects of the game you're really enjoying. Do you like a lot of new mechanics, or are you hating some of the new mechanics? What things are you enjoying or think could be done? I'd love to hear different opinions. That's definitely one of the things I'm looking forward to hearing on YouTube videos when I'm done, is videos talking about the little differences in mechanics. I mean, like Illusionary Wall does crazy videos on previous Souls games. Definitely looking forward to some interesting videos from him, for example. But let me know what you think, and hopefully I'll see you out there in the Elden Land to become an Elden Lord that you hopefully don't get sacrificed for, because that's what I'm kind of worried about. But hey, only time will tell. Someone else did help him write the story, so we could only hope there might be more of a happy ending. But I don't think there will be. I know how these games usually go. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining today and listening to a little rant. Again, sorry about not getting to next review out of that. I'm just stressed with things. Trying to get things cleaned around the house again. My dad's just been in a very mopey state. Between work, upcoming overtime, trying to keep content going, trying to keep the house in order, and a water pipe blew out. So right now we're using jugs of water for cooking and stuff. We have to get a new water line put in, which it's been waning, so that hasn't been working out so far, because they needed to not be a giant swamp over there. So, yeah, that's just not working out in my favor. And like I said, upcoming overtime is... So, I have been trying to keep some stuff cleaned, and I've been trying to rearrange my room to make more space and stuff, so it just... Oh, excuse me. Muted that, though. Oh, wait. That probably still went through OBS, though. Ah! Dang it. Well, I just... Excuse me. I didn't mean to cough. But, yeah, actually, I'm not sure if my mute button mutes the audio through Discord. I mean, through OBS. Not sure. I guess I'll find out when I see the video after. But thank you for being understanding again, everyone. I'm very sorry. I know it's really shitty, but, we're all human too, So we got real life stuff too. And my mother's anniversary of when she passed away is going to be coming up. So I'm sure my dad is going to go through a very mopey stage. He's always been very mopey lately, so I know it's gonna happen. April is probably gonna always be a miserable time for my father. For those who don't know, my mother passed away on April 1st, which my birthday is April 8th, so it's probably never going to be a cheery month for me, myself, either. Of course, it being on April 1st, April Fools will always sting, because, some people may initially think it's a fucking joke, which, you know, it's just a tragic-y, ironic day to have passed away on. But unlike my father, though, I trying to stay strong and moving forward. I know it's hard for my father. I'm not saying it's an easy thing to watch somebody you spent, you know, your life up to that point and watch them go away. I'm certainly not saying it's easy, but I feel like my father and me have a very different way of dealing with someone passing away. Why I have the kind of more sunboy look to try and be grossly incandescent, to burn brightly as a great star, to show that your life had meaning and that you will be a great person so you could shine with the people that came before you. My father instead is just really mopey about it. Like, he can't seem to grasp the concept of trying to prove himself for the people who came before or with him. And again, I understand that's not easy, but I wish I knew a better way. And I find it ironic, too, because my dad's a very religious person, so I would think a religious person would have that kind of view to, you know, that they're in a better place and that they need to stay strong and show that what they did for your life was meaningful and that you went out in the world to do something good. But he doesn't have that view, so I wish I knew what to really do and say to him about it, but anyway, I'm apologizing for taking more of your time. I went on a little rant, a personal rant there, but again, thank you everyone for understanding. Again, let me know what you think about your Elden Ring experience or concerns with Elden Ring, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the new stuff and the old stuff and things you might think need change to that. But anyway, take it easy, and hopefully I can at least hopefully keep the Monday thing in schedule. But I may have to announce maybe taking a month or two off or something. I'll have to see what I can do. Like I said, a lot of stuff's happening, so if I do decide to take a month off or something, which at least should hopefully help allow me to make some stuff in advance review-wise, but thank you very much. I greatly appreciate all of you. May you all have a good day, and I'll see you next time in the Proving Ground. Toodaloo!